Hi guys, so Mick Lynch, the General Secretary of the RMT Union, appeared on Newsnight where he spoke about the cost of living crisis, wage increases and other issues. Here he was asked by Kirsty Work if he would support a general strike. This is very serious industrial action. One such strike has not taken place since the 1920s. He was also challenged on whether wage increases would fuel inflation. Have a listen to what he had to say.
It's got to play its part. It's got to start by giving the British worker a pay rise. That's a fundamental. People are not being paid enough to survive in this economy. But we need radical action. We need it quickly. This energy price cap has to be reversed. It doesn't need to go up and be tinkered upwards. It needs to go down so that the energy companies have to give up some of their profits and people pay less, because people are absolutely frightened of what's going to happen.
Now, this has been something that has been doing the rounds, the idea that the energy price cap be reduced. So at the moment, the energy price cap is going up, which means more and more people are becoming more and more desperate because they're having to pay higher bills. What could happen is the government could intervene, bring the price energy cap down to a level of maybe last year or 2020, and then what they could do is they could compensate the companies. Now, Mick Lynch is talking about the profits, the companies having to, lose some profit in order to cover this. The problem with this argument is it seems to be the retailers that are selling directly to the public some of them are likely to go bankrupt over the next number of months because their margins are extremely tight. The ones who are making massive profits are the wholesalers. So what the government could do is step in, bring down the price of energy and compensate the retailers, not the wholesalers. But then, of course, this would be a cost to the taxpayer. The taxpayer would be footing the bill here. But the alternative is to allow people to go without paying their bills or to go without feeding their families.
But you're suggesting a pay rise,
Yes.
the rate of inflation. But do you deny that in itself would be inflationary?
Well, it hasn't been inflationary so far because people haven't had a pay rise
Well,
for up to 10 years in this economy. Prices have gone up anyway.
But growth is low.
But if they're
But growth is low. But normally there is inflation when growth is high. So, I understand that the journalist here has to ask difficult questions, has to try to challenge whoever they're speaking to. But if growth is low and inflation is high, there's something wrong here. And obviously we know the inflation is driven by external factors. It's not driven by wages. And Mick Lynch is correct here by saying wages have not risen. So you can't blame rising wages on inflation. And the other response from many on the right mainly will say that, well, even if you do increase wages, you're going to get some type of inflation. But what is the alternative? People can't feed their families. People can't pay their bills. Never mind go out for meals and stimulate the economy.
telling us this is all because of the Ukraine war, how can pay rises here affect their energy rise? Interest rates are going up as well, Kirsty. Housing and food are at crisis points in this economy.
You've called today for the campaign Enough is Enough.
Yes.
Would you call for a general strike?
Well, we'll call for generalised action and synchronised responses from the trade union movement.
A general strike.
We will have to have it because people will not be able to put up with this level of poverty.
Can I just be clear? You would, if necessary, as far as you're concerned, if you think it's necessary, call for a general strike.
The TUC can call a general strike, not me. If they call it, we'll support it, absolutely.
But are you pushing for that?
But we need a firm response from the trade unions to get the British working class a pay increase to deal with this poverty crisis. But we also need to tackle housing costs, interest rates and food poverty.
Lord Howe.
And he's completely correct. It's not just about increasing wages. It's also about food poverty, housing prices, rents. All of these things are going up. And, the politicians are talking about maybe cutting the green levy, reducing taxes, or not increasing taxes. This is not going to cut it. People need real support. They need a massive stimulus. The government needs to come forward, and unfortunately Boris Johnson is not interested in doing anything. I really don't understand why he's still there. Is it just to have a bit of fun? Because there's a real crisis, and until he gets out of the way, nothing will be done. And it's likely that Liz Truss will take over, and she's not really interested in doing anything at the moment. She is hinting at having some sort of emergency budget, but the emergency budget must contain a stimulus plan. And unfortunately, I think there are too many Tories in the House of Commons that will be against it. So she'd likely have to push it through Parliament. It may not get enough support, and then we're back to square one. Or concessions will be extracted from the government, which would water down any real stimulus plan. Maybe I'm being too negative here. I want to be positive. I really hope that Liz Truss, if she becomes Prime Minister, she will have a good plan that will provide enough support to people. But it's not just something to fix this cost of living crisis for the next number of months. It has to be something that will deal with this crisis that's going to last at least a year. Well said to Mick Lynch here. He's on the ball on every point, on every issue. And it's likely that if the government don't do something, we may see a general strike. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.